Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. So Fear the Walking Dead Season 6 is turning into a great season, and this is surprisingly good considering many people have regarded Fear the Walking Dead, the spin-off to the main show, as a bad show with no direction, no good storytelling, and just a needless show that should be cancelled. Well, this season has definitely killed a lot of those arguments because the storytelling, the direction, the cinematography, directing, the score has all been fantastic for the first 3 episodes. The first one with Morgan, then we follow Alicia, we follow what's going on with the Virginia's group, and now here we get to see Dwight and Al together on the road, doing kind of supply runs, looking for kind of people. They have to bring the cameras with them as well because they're not trusted to do what they're told to do, so they have to record everything and everyone that they meet, which is pretty interesting. This is a solid episode, pretty good, and a lot of substance to it. Now, many people are saying like this is the way to go forward with anthology storytelling, where you follow a different character each week and a different journey. I would agree to an extent. Walking Dead tried to do this in season 7 and season 6, and season 8, I should say, and it didn't really work out that well. Why? So you'd have the Kingdom, you'd have the Sanctuary, you'd have Alexandria, you'd have the Hilltop. And why didn't that work out? Well, there was episodes with no substance. These episodes this season with Fear have substance, and that is the difference. It's telling story, character development, also with an interesting dynamic that the characters have to face. Morgan with the bounty hunter in the second episode with that walkers, and then in this episode, this kind of plague that's going on from rats, of course walkers as well, and then the whole scenario with the CRM and the helicopter. So they're going through this, they're on the road, they find a few beers, they're chilling, they're relaxing, they're talking, and of course Al wants to find the beer lady. That's what Dwight refers to her as, and that's Isabel from previous seasons. She works for the CRM, and many people saying that she is the daughter of the main leader of the CRM that we've seen in World Beyond, which has not been confirmed, but we'll have to see if that has any substance to it either. So they're talking. Of course, Al probably has a likeness towards her. She wants to find Isabella. Maybe she has feelings for her, something like that. So she wants to get reunited with her and is trying to find her along the way. And Dwight, look, I like Dwight a lot. He's one of my favourite characters from The Walking Dead. Season 7, Season 8, he really turned into a great character to me with some great character development. He was probably the highlight of those 2 seasons. He ended up being one of my favourite characters on The Walking Dead. And it was a shame that he left the main show, much like Morgan. But here he's getting a lot of screen time, and he really makes this episode really, really interesting. There seems to be kind of a swagger to Dwight. In the main show, The Walking Dead, he had this kind of weight on him about being a bad person, working for Negan, killing people, what was happening to Sherry. But now he seems to be at one with himself. He doesn't hate himself as much, and he has that kind of that freedom and that weight off himself. And you can see that in the way the actor portrays the character of Dwight. And Dwight's a really great character with a lot of potential, and I hope they move forward to him in future seasons, if not in this show, but in the main show of The Walking Dead, or maybe even in the movies to some extent. We'll have to wait and see how that's going. So they come across this building, and they want to get to the rooftop of this building because that's where the CRM drop supplies. So she wants to get to the top, and hopefully she gets to see Isabel. They're going up through the building, of course using the steps because elevators don't work anymore, and they come across a group of people who are sick because of this rat plague that's going on. Also, there's walkers in this level of the building, and they have to try and get around them. And then Al and Dwight leave this group, even though this group needs their help. Their people are sick, they need supplies, need somewhere safe to live. They can't really travel that much because they're afraid of the CRM, and the CRM, they drop supplies to this group, but they are not to be messed with. The CRM are a force, and as the lady says to Dwight and Al, look, one of our guys went up there, he was shot and thrown over the building. So they didn't want anything to do with the CRM. Dwight questions to Al, what if your beer lady friend Isabella is the person that did that? What if she's a bad person? What if she does it to us? And Al wants to take that risk because she wants to find her. So anyway, they go through the building. They meet more walkers. And what I have to say is the walkers seem to be intimidating again, which is great. In the main show, at times, they don't seem that intimidating. But in Fear, this season, I don't know if it's the production value or what it is, or the direction with the camera, but the walkers actually seem a threat. And this is what I love. The walkers are a threat. They're as big a threat as people, and it needs to be coming across to us as audience. I think Fear has done a pretty good job this season at that, which I'm delighted with, because the walkers, it's called The Walking Dead. You need to have walkers, you need to have zombies who are a threat and cause a distraction for these people. So anyway, we go through there was a really cool scene with kind of them going through vents and stuff with the rats, and they actually use real rats and a lot of rats, and fair play to the actors for going through that scene with all the rats. But the rats is causing this plague, and I actually think this is pretty interesting. People are getting affected not by walker bites, not by zombies, but because of this plague. And this is another way that I've never thought of before. Maybe people haven't had theories about this before, but there can be other threats in the world than the zombies. And this is pretty interesting because we're living in a world right now of COVID-19. People are dying from that. People can die from car crashes. People can die from just getting sick. People can die from cancer. People can also die from COVID-19. And that's pretty interesting that in the show this season, I don't know if it was actually they did it on purpose, but walkers aren't the only threat. People aren't the only threat, but the other diseases are. And I thought that was pretty good. And I like this. And this could be an interesting storyline that they bring forward in future seasons of the Walking Dead universe, or even the movies, because that's pretty cool. A lot of the scenes and the camera work was very dark, and it made it more kind of on the edge of your seat. Like, what could happen here? There's so many zombies. But Dwight ends up getting affected with the plague, but we find out later in the episode he's going to be okay. Now we get to see this sign again. The end is the beginning. We got to see it on the submarine with those two guys. Did those two guys write it here? Or is it people that's working with them? They wrote it there as well. Who are those guys? Are they the reason that this plague is happening? What's the story with the key? What's the story with the submarine? So many questions, and I love the mystery that this season is surrounding us with. Especially in the world beyond. There's a lot of mystery, and I hope the payoff is good. Now, the one to get to the top, we get to see the helicopter again. Al gets to the top eventually. She's on the walkie-talkie to Isabella. She doesn't want to tell her that's her. The supplies are already dropped there. She tells her that everyone's infected, that don't come down here. And she's asked, Al, are you infected? And Al goes, I don't know, maybe. But she doesn't ever say, look, I'm Al, come down here, I want to see you. She lets her go. And the CRM, which is Isabella, tells her to stay off this line. So not to be listening to what the CRM are doing. And the CRM are looking for supplies, getting as much things as they can, probably looking for A's and B's as well. So they're a very interesting and fascinating group that they're not to be messed with whatsoever. But there's medication, there's kind of a cure per se to the plague. So everybody that's sick in the building will be okay. Dwight will be okay. Now, the ending for this episode is brilliant. Dwight, as I said, is one of my favourite characters from the Walking Dead universe from Season 7 and Season 8. Really good character development with Sherry, his wife, with Negan, all that story. Sherry ends up leaving Dwight because he's not the same person he used to be. Dwight has to go on this kind of redemption arc. He helps Rick's group, stuff like that. And we know how that story turns out. But in this episode, we finally get to see the two of them reunited. And I don't know how long it's been. For us as an audience, it's been nearly 3 years since Season 7 when she left. So it's probably like that in the actual show as well. So it's a long time that they've seen each other. I'm interested to see what kind of character Sherry is going to bring to the show now. We've never really got to see her interact with other characters. We got to see her interact with Daryl a bit, which I thought was a pretty good dynamic. But how was she within a group of people? So that's going to be interesting to see how the relationship between her and Dwight progresses throughout this season. And it's very, very good. Now, the start of this episode opened with Morgan. And what I like about these anthology episodes is it's giving us a glimpse. Morgan kind of connects to every single episode. Of course, he's with the woman who was pregnant in the first episode. She's had her baby. There's a playpen there for her now. And Morgan's kind of looking after her. The child's called after him. So that's pretty cool as well. And I'm wondering, did that scene take place before episode 2 or after episode 2? He's clean shaven as well and stuff, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, pretty solid episode, guys, of Fear the Walking Dead episode 3 titled Alaska. So many mysteries set up for the rest of the season. I like the storytelling that's been done, the character development. Dwight, great character. Morgan, great character, and I can't wait. And episode 4 looks like an action-packed episode, which I can't wait. Guys, I'll do a review of World Beyond as well. Look for that on the channel, episode 4 for that. I also will be reviewing next week's episode of Fear and World Beyond. If you want more content like this, guys, give us a subscribe, like, comment, and let me know your thoughts below. I'm really interested in what you think of this Walking Dead universe that is expanding.